Rebel. Babe, can you see that? Snapchat, Instagram, Uchikila.
Hi everybody, welcome to Her Hour. Actually, I shouldn't have said everybody.
Right.
I should have said hi, Hourangers. Yes,
Right.
Welcome to Her Hour, your favorite podcast, video blog, what, girls talking. I am your host, Vera, and of course I am joined by my fave.
Right.
Jordan.
Number 23, what's good?
Yes.
Jordan, what's good?
I like
Yes, number 23.
I see you, I respect that.
And I'm actually 23, so.
What? Bars on bars on bars.
Right.
And today we're joined by our first ever repeat guest.
Who?
Oh, you don't know me now. The shade was thrown. Yes, our first ever repeat guest. I'm going to let her reintroduce herself because we always reintroduce ourselves.
Right.
So yes, go for it.
So who are you?
Oh, please, sister, calm down. I feel like she's getting back at me for a sweet comment I made about her earlier.
We won't get into that right now. We won't get into it. We won't get into it. We won't get
We will
into
not.
it.
So if you send some shade, just know where it's coming from.
It's all love.
But
It's
it's
all
all love. True. All right.
Yes.
So my name is Charlene
Right.
Chisho.
Yes.
Yeah. And I work with traditional and local ingredients from Zimbabwe. I do a lot with them. I make hair care products. I bake with them. And I also just train people on how to use these products for diet diversity. Yeah.
You know what? We only asked you to tell us who you are.
That's how she identifies herself.
She
Yeah.
identifies
this
as,
is-
I work with products from
Yeah.
We love it.
indigenous and
No, we
local.
love
Yeah.
it. We love it. You must hit her up, guys, and like use her stuff
Yes,
because
legit.
the
Like
reviews.
these beautiful locks.
You should see the cameraman. They
Yes. Yes.
Well bearded.
are right.
Well bearded too,
well-bearded.
man. It's not just for ladies. So today, we've asked her to come back. Last time, Charlie was here speaking with us about femaling, and today we are
Right.
talking about. We're now more within her spectrum.
Her
of-
region.
Yes, her region of expertise, which is food. We want to talk about food, and more importantly, food security. I think that's a conversation we don't have enough. We all like eating, guys. Let's not pretend as if we don't like eating. We need food for sustenance. Yes, right. Like at home, I eat like a builder, guys. Like my plate is like the same quantities as my father's because I love my food.
Right.
I'm small and petite, yes, but I love to eat.
As it
That's
should be.
true.
No,
Oh my gosh.
Rightfully
No.
so. Rightfully so. Do you know
Yeah.
that I've actually read something that says that women should actually eat way more than men?
Yeah.
Because women have so much more to store. Like women have to store more. Women have like burn more energy.
Yeah.
Also, like going through a menstrual cycle uses a lot more energy.
Yes,
so
yes.
women actually need
So
to
we
eat
have
more.
to eat more.
Right.
True.
Oh, guys.
Please don't fight with us.
This is Google facts, so allow us to have our excuses for eating more. Okay, just allow us.
Nutrition does not really say
Please
that.
don't fight us.
But
anyway.
okay, just to make you guys feel better so you can eat more on dates, it's
Yes.
fine.
Yes. So don't judge us when you take us out on dates, please. Anyway, so today we want to talk about food
Feud.
food security,
Food security.
which is something that's very important. I think we don't have enough discussions about this, like on a household level, on a national level, on an international level. I think that these discussions just need to happen more often, especially because Zim is going through a very complex food security situation right now. So being the people that we are, I visited Dr. Google and I just wanted to look up like what the food security situation is in Zimbabwe, and allow me to read from my phone. So it basically says that in Zimbabwe, food security or insecurity is measured in phases from phase 1 all the way up to phase 5, right? So phase 1 being the minimal all the way to phase 5, which is famine. And right now, about 50% of Zimbabwe is in phase 2. So phase 2 would be our stressed phase. And about 40% of Zimbabwe is in phase 3, which is the crisis phase. So basically what it means is that like we're not producing enough to feed the nation. So
Right.
households are even struggling to buy enough food to like secure even like on a
Right,
household level.
right.
Which is kind of scary.
It is.
Because like being in phase 3, like it's like 2 phases away from famine, which is like really hectic.
Right.
So like I don't know, like what does food security mean to you guys? Just looking at like food security basically just means that a situation that exists where every household has enough food to last them to survive. That's
Right,
basically what food
right,
security
right,
means.
right. I think we should also point out that the fact that only 10%
Yeah,
are in phase 1.
yeah,
Only 10%, which is scary
Yeah.
and alarming.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's concerning.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe we can just go around and talk about like what food security means to maybe each and
We'll
every
start
one
with
of us.
our queen.
Yes, the food guru.
Queen CC.
Yes.
Double C.
All right,
C
so-
squared.
Oh yeah. So growing up, they all used to call me Cece when girl. Yeah.
CC
So yeah,
Winans.
Cece. But anyway, so looking at food security, it's true. Food security means all peoples having access to enough food. Okay, let's
Sorry, just 1 minute. We're getting our drinks. Don't mind us.
Thank you.
Is this
Oh my
the sweet red?
gosh.
Dry.
Thank
That's the
you.
Okay, and then the rose.
So yeah, you were telling us about
Yes.
food security.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So when you're looking at food security, like what you rightfully said, you're looking at all people. So there's certain things that you have to capture with food security. It's all peoples getting enough food, and when we say enough food, we're talking about food with the right quantities of nutrition, the sufficient nutrition, right? And it includes accessibility. It doesn't matter where the source is.
Yeah.
So it could be you farming it, it could be you purchasing it. It doesn't matter where the food is coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not normal for developing countries to actually be food secure. It's like a, it's
It's third world country problem.
yeah, well, let's say developing countries.
Okay.
We don't want to put ourselves in some. So,
Okay.
and also even in first world, in developed countries, it's
Yeah.
also not like it's not a guaranteed thing to say that the country's food secure.
Yeah.
So it's an ideal setup that you want to achieve. So everyone is sort of working towards food security.
Okay.
But you have developed countries that are more in they are more food secure than developing countries.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That was like the legit explanation. I gave the
Yeah.
summarized normal people who just go and Dr. Google and then we look up something we're like,
Yeah.
and then this was the expertise version.
Right. I first want to say cheers to everyone who's
Yes.
drinking
Eye contact.
at home, wherever you're watching this from. Cheers.
Yes.
I'll
Cheers.
also say
Eye
cheers. with my-
contact.
No, we don't want your cheers with your water.
Oh, this was holy water.
You have to look me in the eyes.
Eye contact.
Right.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. For me, food security is definitely. Oh, I'm supposed to take a sip.
It's nothing without the sip.
For me, food security is how like the availability of sufficient meals, like not just one meal. You could always be like, oh yeah, as long as I've eaten once today, then I'm food
good.
secure. That's not enough. I feel like as long as you don't have the necessary meals, which should be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Those are your essentials. If you're not achieving at least those 3 meals, then you're food insecure. But I'm not speaking by choice, because there's people who choose not to eat.
Yeah. Like
3
people on
meals.
weird diets.
Some people are on some like fasting diets. I'm not speaking about y'all are doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
People who don't have the choice, who are like, today I can't eat because I can't eat because there's no food.
Yeah.
Or there's that one egg or the struggle onion in the fridge. You know how it is, guys. Sometimes there's just that one, like the onion or the green pepper, or like you can't make a meal.
Yeah.
Like, are you gonna put a green pepper on bread?
It doesn't make
No.
any sense. True.
No.
So
Right.
like, food security is very important, and like just looking at the drought situation, like what does that mean for Zimbabwe? Like, apparently we've been in a drought like for the past 3 years, which is quite intense. Like, it's really quite hectic.
Right.
So like, what does that mean for like Zimbabwe? Like, coming from
Your perspective.
your perspective. Because for us, it just means that when we go into the shops, we can't buy food.
Or
When-
the food is not gonna be locally sourced.
Or it's going to be expensive,
Right.
that like the normal household can't afford to like buy that food because it's like at this crazy
But
exorbitant
let's just think
price.
about this. A Pascal chocolate is like 20 something dollars. It's like 19 something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Who is going to be spending $50 on green peppers?
Yeah.
Now that we're speaking about green peppers, who is gonna be spending crazy amounts of money when there's things to think about, like school fees, water, electricity, No one.
Yeah.
Even though we don't get electricity, you still have to pay for it.
And like even just now we had a recent shortage in mealie meal, and that's like our staple diet,
right.
which is crazy to think about, like something that we consider as our staple food. We've had a shortage of it. Like you couldn't find it anywhere.
Right.
People couldn't find it in the supermarkets. Your only option was to buy it black market. Like who would have thought
For like 10 US.
buying maize like on the black market would be
Right,
something that we
right.
would have to do.
But I
Yeah.
definitely want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I like how you guys are like, oh, we've been in a drought for 3 years, and what does that mean for Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe has been through drought for a couple of years. I mean,
wow.
there was the 1992 drought. There was one.
What happened in 1992?
Hey, I was still walking, darling.
But
I'm
like,
like
according to just to we'll get back to your other point, is that the 1992 drought was actually one of the worst droughts we had in Zimbabwe. Apparently in that year 13,000 tons of maize was produced, which was only enough to feed the whole nation for 2 days. That's how intense it was. A lot of livestock died. Like it was really intense. It was one of the worst droughts. I'm sure if you talk to some of your parents, for those of you that are millennials, your parents will tell you that was one of the worst droughts that we actually experienced in Zimbabwe.
Right.
The year I was born, so I was the only good thing that happened.
When were you born, sis?
92, baby girl. 92.
All right, so the
Yeah.
thing is, Zimbabwe's gone through droughts. I mean, there
I'm
was
joking.
one in even 2001, 2012. You get what I mean? So, and yeah,
Right,
2012 as
right.
well. So the thing is, you only feel the effects of the drought because of the economy.
Yeah.
So if the government doesn't have enough money to purchase maize and inputs or import food, then you're gonna feel the impact of the drought. And now that
Right.
you're also older and the economy is dropping, that's why you guys are really like, oh my gosh, it's but we've been through these droughts, and I'm not too sure what the story was in 1992, so I won't talk too much
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
right.
But I will speak about what's happening now. So. I've lost my train of thought. Okay, so right now it basically means, so like if the little insert that you read and that you talked about
Yeah.
is that from the crisis 1 to crisis 5, from phase 1 to phase 5,
Yeah.
and then you talked about 40% of the country is in crisis,
Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah.
What did you say? Stressed?
That they're in about 50%
Crisis.
is stressed, 40%
40
is
is
in
in
crisis.
crisis, right? So when you're looking at the stressed aspect, it means that there are other sources of food that's coming in. So they're looking at how much they can import. We're looking at food aid. We're looking at farmers have also sort of adapted to
Yeah.
the way that they're farming, which makes other foods readily available. So we're
Yeah.
looking at small grains, because that grows better in these kind of climates. And
Yeah.
more farmers have, changed and started growing those small grains.
Right.
So that's why it's in that situation. But before, in 1992, people were just straight on, head on
Maize all the
Right,
time.
right.
Yeah.
right.
So even if you're in a very dry area, maize does not do well, and there weren't improved varieties like these short season varieties that are coming up of maize as well. More drought resistant, more drought tolerant varieties that are coming up right now. So I think that's why it doesn't seem as intense. It's still a crisis, but
Yeah.
I think they're more reactive processes that are happening.
Right. I think it's insane. Just on a point that you were just saying, that now people are only now going into the thing of growing smaller grains
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
grains that are more resistant to drought.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that we haven't been doing that since the beginning of the drought. My mind automatically goes back to the days when our ancestors would have systems in place that would be ready to accommodate the things like the drought or it kind of makes me wonder what part of ourselves have we lost that makes us not automatically want to think about growing things that are resistant to drought. Why are we so set on growing maize?
Yeah.
Or why are we so set on growing things that are reliant on rain all the time?
Yeah.
When our climate is not giving us enough of the natural resources to be able to grow those things, why is it not instilled in us now to just move on? Why are we so set on
the maize?
So the thing is, specifically for smallholder farmers, small grains are laborious to process. So they're much easier to grow and they're more
Right,
drought
okay, so like the
tolerant.
manufacturing
Yeah,
process.
so the processing. So that's when you now go into the field to
Cleaning.
remove it. So you have to I now know the Shona words. Oh my god!
It's okay, say them.
Yeah,
I think
like,
it's important for people
but
to
please
know
also
these.
like
It's the
translate
winnowing,
for
like,
people, like
yeah. So it's the threshing. That's the word I wanted.
Right.
So they harvest it from the field and they on these.
Can you
tall
give me some
stalks.
examples of like small grains?
Okay, there's
Yeah.
pearl millet, finger millet, sorghum.
Is wheat
No.
a small grain?
Eish, I don't know if I'll put it there. I'm talking more of the traditional ones.
Okay, okay.
I wouldn't.
No problem.
Yeah. But wheat is a grass. It's a grass.
Is wheat an export an export?
Import, but
An
we
import.
farm it here, but not so
An
well.
import.
We import it a lot.
Right,
yeah.
right. It's not
so a
not
lot of our
indigenous.
food, yeah, no, it's not indigenous.
Okay.
Because it's more acclimatized to colder areas,
All
and
right.
that's why we grow it in winter.
Okay. Okay.
So, what was I saying about the small grains?
You're saying that they're harder to process?
Yeah, they're harder. So the threshing process is hard, and it's done. This is done with your hands, right?
Right.
The winnowing process, you have to, for example, pearl millet. You thresh it, you winnow it, you remove the whatever's left inside after threshing, and then you have to toast it. So all of this is. It's quite laborious, and so farmers are running away from that. And this is what changed. So when maize came in, it was such an easy crop to grow. Yeah, you have to put your inputs with the fertilizers, but the processing aspect is just shelling.
Yeah.
And they mechanized machines came in for maize before mechanized machines came for small grains. So now you have some companies that are actually now going into making threshers for small grains, which now gives the community hope. And now now I know this one bit is been eliminated from that.
I have a question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm so
no,
sorry.
no.
Is it laborious because they are avoiding employing other people?
They can't afford.
Okay, they can't afford to. Okay,
Yeah.
that's-
Because it's more small scale farming.
because
that
I'm
are
more
doing
like
these
when
things.
you start saying these things, I start thinking immediately job creation.
Yeah.
Like
So
this
what's
is something someone could do.
Yeah, you can hire someone to actually do that. So
true.
why aren't
Right.
large scale farmers doing the smaller grains?
That's a very good question.
Is
That
the
is
money in small grains?
But the money is in small grains, but the thing is, there's also money in maize. So the hectarage that someone was telling me, I might be off, but I do know that the area that you farm, the hectarage that you farm for maize, you get more maize than you would get in small grains. But the chances of survival in a drier areas, you're going to get more output of the small grains.
Okay.
So for a commercial farmer who's in an area where there's enough sufficient water, it's not very dry, the soils are rich, there's more profit in growing maize than growing the small grains.
Okay.
Unless if you're going to sell it to Delta for
Like
Djibouti.
brewery and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay, cool.
I'm thinking about people who don't have the choice, who are like,
Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
More new cases in the past week than it saw in all of May and June.
This woman apparently being taken against her will by China's newly deployed quarantine squads.
More than 14 million cases worldwide.
Oh my gosh. So that was just crazy, guys. COVID just like really hit Zimbabwe really bad, and we had to literally just like stop recording and go into lockdown. It's hectic. How are you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I am, trying to do life with all these restrictions and, everything. So yeah, how are you doing? What's up with you?
Oh, I'm okay. I think, what's so scary is that when we started shooting the other episodes, like COVID had kind of just started, and like now we're in the full swing of it. Like I was just looking back at some of the episodes and how we were talking like, oh my gosh, COVID is happening in America, they've got bad cases, not thinking that like
it would never come here. Never.
Right?
Right. Where is Charlie? What happened to Charlie? Was she not part of this conversation?
She is. I'm gonna tell her, and hopefully she's gonna appear. Hopefully she's not gone. Charlie.
What are the magic words?
Please, could you come and join us? All right. So yeah, bananas. Hi. Heck. I know why I'm excited to be here. We live together. Hi, Jordan.
What's up?
I
How are you doing, babe?
Good. How are you? Looking gorgeous as ever. I love
Thanks.
the
I love
hair.
your jersey and I love the little braids. I'm living.
Oh, African threading, national
Okay.
hair.
Oh, it's threading. My bad. My bad.
All on that hair
So
tip.
what's up, guys? How have you been dealing with this lockdown?
Hey, it's been interesting, hey, but I've been working from home mostly. I've only just started going out of town a little bit for work, but it's you rearrange the way we work, the way I plan things. It's been interesting, hey. It's been quite.
And you,
right.
you didn't.
I want to. Sorry, before I answer the question for myself, I want to ask you, like, what does working from home look like for someone in the food industry?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for me, it's not bad. Well, you see, because I've worked in the food industry from the perspective of catering and stuff, so that's been pretty easy because usually I prepare my stuff at home, even when there was no lockdown or anything. So I used to always prepare from home. And now I think business is actually better because people are trusting home prepared meals more, which is weird. You'd actually think people would be more anal about not wanting to have food prepared at someone else's house. You'd think people would want to make their own stuff because they've got more time on their hands. But people are
lazier at home, I think.
Really?
I think after a certain amount of at home too much, you get to a point where you're just like, well, we can just call Charlie's Kitchen to like cook for us.
Right. You know what? I don't even think it's laziness. I think it's more like we realize just how much leisure time we don't give ourselves. Like we're constantly work 20. Before COVID, it was like constantly working towards what? Like I don't even know what we were working towards. Death. I think that's what we were working towards. Like,
I think it's
right.
But I completely agree with you. That is true. Like,
but if I was not even a caterer, I remember when I used to be on holiday, even in varsity, I enjoyed being at home because that's when I got to try out so many new recipes and you up your skills and you have more time to shop. I think the shopping's been the hardest part for me in Zim.
Yeah. Crazy.
I feel you.
So now
Okay, so for me, I've just been like, doing life. I have like, obviously I do like a lot of activism work. So it's been a bit intense working in that sector from home because a lot of our work is like people interactive. We have to be in the field with people. And so it's been really challenging. But I think it's also shed light on the fact that there are other ways of being active. There are other ways of being visible that don't involve actually going out into the field and being amongst people, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what I've been. And I've been eating. That's what I've been doing.
I think we all have.
That is a perfect segue for us to just kind of pick up from where we left off because we kind of ended things like quite dramatically because of everything that was going on. So like food, guys, like last time, like for those of you who are watching this like as a full thing, we were talking about
And
food security. We were talking about how Zimbabwe.
And this is months ago. Months ago,
guys. And like just looking at the situation now, like I think our conversation, from what we had planned that day, our conversation's kind of shifted because now we're looking at food security from the point of view of in Corona times, where already looking at Zimbabwe, for example, we're coming from like we've been in drought, we've been in famine, and then now we barely had enough food when things were fine. And now we're in Corona times where imports are a bit more difficult and accessing money is a bit more difficult. Everyone is sitting at home, the industries have closed down, like the few that were locally open, like they've all closed down and things like that. And it's just kind of the whole world is in this kind of state of, oh my goodness, Corona messed up everything. We're like not okay, especially like in terms of, and the biggest issue is food because we all need food as much as everything was locked down. The early days when everything was locked down, the first thing people went crazy for was food. Americans went crazy for toilet paper. We went crazy for food.
Right. I feel you. So I want to ask Charlie, obviously, like, what is it looking like at a national level? How has COVID affected the food sector?
Okay. That's a big question. So I actually just want to touch on when you say that the food industries have closed. Not really,
Okay.
you know, the first industries that they actually opened up, you know, because they wanted to prevent this whole panic thing that's going on. You know, when they said shutdown, I think if you remember that first week when they said on Monday, the supermarkets were packed, hey? Like it was ridiculous and people were hoarding. So people were hoarding, not because, so people were hoarding, right? And the shelves were getting empty, not because there wasn't much there, but people were taking so much where it now gives a false look of scarcity, which wasn't true. So they have to open up the food industry to, you know, to really ascertain people that, guys, like for real, we will have enough buttercup margarine and we will have, you know, enough of whatever you produce before, you know. I think on a national level, the biggest issues I think is particularly on the smallholder farmers. And I think in Zimbabwe, it's a lot of smallholder farmers that play a huge role in the national food security. You know, you have smaller farmers, especially in close by areas, you know, Lumbushava, Mutoko, Mudzi, just surrounding areas, Chivi, who do bring produce, fresh produce, such as tomatoes, onion, fresh vegetables, to our local market, which is Mbari, right? So you get these farmers who can't bring in this produce to Mbari, which means and with fresh tomatoes, a lot of them don't actually process. They don't have the know-how to process these things in a suitably, you know, like you're going to end up with moldy products or whatever. So they don't know how to preserve it, which means for that smallholder farmer, that's a huge loss. You know, they've had, with tomatoes, that's been a whole issue on its own. And so whoever managed to get whatever yield, it's been really difficult for them to find a market, which was the local market in towns like Harare, Bulawayo, you know, those different places. So I think especially for the smallholder farmer, that's a big, you know, such a loss. And then secondly, looking at the people who purchase from Mbari and stuff, not everyone's a farmer. I'm not a farmer. So
I am. I'm joking.
I'm trying. I really am trying, you know, but like I don't really have a passion for really just getting dirty in the garden. A lot of people do. You know, I'm following up to tell guys, did you water? Did you do this? But personally, going up into the garden, not so much. So I've noticed at the national level in towns and in cities, people are venturing to try their own little gardens, but it's sad for people who live in apartments because now they're forced to buy produce that's really expensive because you only have a certain number of people producing, you know, like you have people in Harare, I know in some areas people have, you know, big areas of land, so they've converted some of that part of their house into a big garden for commercial use. But I mean, there's only so much here, so which makes a higher demand and the prices increase. So you know, the whole cutting off of the cities and transportation, it really, you know, it's difficult. I mean, I heard outside Harare, you get from these smallholder farmers a whole bucket of tomatoes for $1. A bucket.
Wow.
Imagine.
That's unfortunately, okay. It's sad. It's nice for the consumer because the consumer's like, oh my gosh, that's so much, like I can buy. But then you think about the person who is, right, it's not benefiting the people who are actually producing it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hectic. And think of all the inputs they put in. It's
right.
So they're literally just saying, you know what, whatever money we can make right now, would rather get $10 than absolutely nothing for all the money we've put into this. Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad.
So I guess now we're probably like, what I'd like to know is like, you know, given what's happening in terms of like, you know, you've got your smaller farmers, right, that are now having this issue that, you know, Mbari closed down. For those of you who don't know what Mbari Musika is, I know we got some international viewers. What's up?
Okay.
But it's this huge market we have in our capital city where a lot of our fresh produce is sold. You know, you'll even have your supermarkets buying from Mbari Musika. And what happened is now when kind of kicked in, a lot of these the market kind of closed for some time, which meant that a lot of this produce was rotting and farmers were losing out because they would just go and like, you know, sell, you know, you just knew that I can take my truckload and it'll finish by the end of the day because that's how it is.
But
and
can I just like, can I just spotlight a situation that happened? Do you remember the photo of the police actually taking all the fresh produce out of one of these people's trucks and burning it? That's during like the beginning of lockdown when things were like hectic. So people were, not only were they not able to sell their produce, the cops were now taking the produce and burning it as a sign of like, you should be adhering to the lockdown rules. So yeah, I just thought that was important on what you were saying. Like,
that is it's really sad because people are suffering. So in order to enforce, like, you know, having a lockdown was paramount in certain areas, right? I mean, not in all, so, but it's paramount because it's a pandemic and our health system isn't strong enough. But Zimbabwe's got another very big problem is our economy is completely failing. So you had a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm going to die, most likely die from COVID, but what am I going to do today? You know, I'd rather get money to feed my kids up until I die. So, you know, for the police, they were saying the only way we can make sure you don't come is if we either beat you up or burn your produce, which really sucks. But, you know, what do you do there?
It's like, it's such a gray area, but it's a gray area. It's a tricky kind of situation. And what's just sad is that food security, especially now, has a whole different meaning because now it got to a point where it's either you're sitting at home and not making money for you to buy everything else that you need. Because let's say you're a smallholder farmer, right? And your only source of income is you selling food to your consumers. But now because of Corona, you have to sit at home and you're not getting any other form of income. So that means that, like, yes, you have food at home because you got your vegetables and everything from the farm, but like, for medicine, if someone gets sick, for fuel, for electricity, for like, and even to maintain the farm itself, all of that money has now kind of like disappeared. So it was kind of like a very tricky situation where like almost for you to make sure that like everywhere else there's food, you kind of had to like risk your life and like in a certain kind of like in a way, which put in a very catch-22 kind of situation. And then you have on the other hand like World Health Organization and all of these other organizations now coming in and giving people like you know, food aid with the sorghum and things like that. Those small millets and small grains that, you know, we were speaking about in like earlier in the other episode, is that those small grains are now the things that they're giving to everyone, saying that, guys, like, you know, this is what we're giving to you to like help you out in the situation. But the thing is, I don't know, I guess this would be like for another conversation to be like, these things, wherever the small grain is coming from, maybe it's not being sourced locally, but I also feel like maybe as our government could have found a way that, if they want to food aid, get it locally. We know that Charlie has her farm and she's been providing stuff to Mbari and everything. COVID has hit. Us as the government, we can then say that, okay, we're going to send a truckload to buy off from Charlie because we were given donations or whatever. We have the COVID relief fund. We're going to buy off Charlie. We're going to buy off this other farmer who does A, B, C, D. So in the same way that we're relieving the people in terms of people who need food, we're also helping out the local farmers to say that we're also giving you money. Because some of the stuff isn't free,
Yeah, I think what they do it like through GMB. So these farmers do have the option to sell grain to GMB.
Okay.
Why farmers don't go there is because of the price. So, the option to sell maize, it got so bad that GMB had to actually say, you're not allowed to sell maize grain. It's actually, this year I even heard about it, that you can't sell maize grain to anyone else other than GMB. So, because no grain was actually now going into GMB. So it is there, but people start to look at the money, they start to weigh their options and stuff like that. So with these farmers, it's literally farmers working on an acre or two. This is like rural areas, hey? So those are the farmers I'm particularly referring to when I talk about smallholder farmers. These are people who most often even practice subsistence farming. They just literally living hand to mouth.
Right. Okay, so I had a question that I wanted to ask. Do you know of any food initiatives right now that could possibly benefit anyone that may be in need, or anything that anyone, like, I know right now we're talking a whole lot about like things that are bad and things that are sad, but I think just to like, before we go into anything more bad, I think it would be really nice to give people something to, instead of the whole episode being, it's so sad, maybe let's give.
I know so many initiatives of people, you have all these private sectors, people are really trying. And I think the biggest focus that's been there that I've noticed is a lot of people are doing donations for masks and clothing. They're just trying to alleviate some of the other things so that, okay, fine, we get that you need to go and hustle, but let's make sure when you go hustle, you're safe. So I'm going to make sure you have hand sanitizer. I'm going to make sure you get some masks, because these disposable ones are like 4 hours only. So I know there's so many initiatives where people are actually really making an active effort to say, you know what, the reality on the ground is you need to hustle. So let's make sure you get education on how to be safe, and you actually have the equipment to be safe. And then I also know there's this lady in Chitungwiza who makes about 3,000 meals a day. Just feeding people off donations. Like it's been such a wonderful initiative. I'm gonna get her name, and so people can know where to donate.
Right, and then we can put it in the description box. So if anyone is listening and they want this information, it'll be in the description box.
Yeah. So that lady, she's doing, guys, I remember in the beginning of lockdown, I actually saw posts on Facebook, and I also saw posts on Instagram. Like she started with like 10 meals a day, and then it got to 50, and now it's up to 3,000 meals. Like she just decided out of the kindness of her heart that she wanted, this is a tough time. People are not eating, they can't hustle. So she wanted to do what she could do best. And I think for me, that's the biggest initiative and the best initiative I've seen during this whole period. I think it takes so much. As a chef and someone who cooks, guys, it is not easy. That needs a big heart, and I think she's amazing for it.
And you, Jordan, do you know any organizations?
Okay, for myself, I don't necessarily know anyone that's focused on food specifically. But I know that with HQ, they are doing an initiative where they help to provide $50 US to anyone that applies to the fund. And so with that $50, you could pay for food if you needed food, or your rent, or whatever. So that's what I know for now. But I think I will do a little bit of research so that we can put some more in the description box to help people who may need the help.
Yeah. I also saw like a couple of initiatives at the beginning of lockdown. I'm pretty sure Eat Out is also doing something.
Oh yes.
they have been doing that for a while. So we'll also put like the link for Eat Out, and I was gonna mention HQ as well. That it's not specific to food, but it is some sort of relief. I know Purple Hand is also kind of working on that because they're doing things with the chicken project and things like that. So it's great to know that there's so many good initiatives out there, especially that are looking at bringing some sort of food relief to people, because I think that's the biggest concern that people worry about. Like, what am I going to eat, guys? That's one of the biggest concerns. And I think just the fact that we have that light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, I think that's a perfect way for us to end this discussion, because it'll be so easy for us to slip into like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, but like that there's actually a lot of good work happening. I even know, like, I've been watching the Daily Show. This is for American stuff, but like even the Daily Show, they have like initiatives that are also pushing for food security for people. So there are these little things that are kind of popping up everywhere, which is great. And I think the more we encourage people to kind of to do that and to really push for supporting where you can, make a donation where you can, guys. That $1
right.
Like it can legit change someone's life. So
I have a question. Sorry, just a small little question. Sorry, Charlie, what were you saying before I asked my question?
Okay, I was just saying that our farmer supply chain to also ensure it's coming from the farmer, the smallholder farmers, all the way to the market. It's also certified as safe. The transportation is done smoothly. It's something that's going to take time, but I know, people are actually looking into it so that, these farmers can still survive, because we don't know how long COVID is going to last for. So that's another positive thing that's actually happening. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my question was, I just wanted us to each go around and possibly give a solution or a way that people could help to alleviate the situation within their capacity.
Okay. So you can start.
No, Charlie can start. This is the guest.
Alleviate. Yeah, just help in this small way.
I think in your small way, I think everyone who can offer a hand in teaching skills, and skills I'm looking at just having a small garden. We've got this little garden at our house. I'm going to take a picture and you guys have to post it in the little box on the screen.
Yes.
But it's called a keyhole garden. And
also it's going to show like
somewhere. Yes.
No, but this garden, it's something that I learned how to do, and it's something I could easily have taught my neighbors, because there's a shortage of water. This garden helps to, retain moisture. It's a bit laborious to build, but it uses any material that you have. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it can actually supply enough food, like fruit and not fruit, but enough veggies. Last you the whole year. So I feel like just share little skill sets like that. I honestly believe that could actually push a long way, because if we have our garden here, one pack of seeds could actually be enough for me and my 2 other neighbors. You see, so that's on cost, and it's also fed 3 families. So I think just sharing skills of what you're doing to just make sure your family is
eating.
Yeah.
And also people have the time, so like don't be like, we don't want to hear it.
We do. Like actually going, because we need to bring back our parts of our culture, which I think is beautiful.
Right, like just because you're in the city now doesn't mean you must forget how to plant.
My wall isn't high enough, I don't want to see what she's doing. Okay, Jordan.
Okay, so for me, I think a good solution is to help the beggars, guys. That's one thing, because people are not moving around as much. So the beggars don't have, I hate to use the word beggars. Let me say homeless people. So people who are homeless. Yeah, the less fortunate. So the less fortunate people right now don't have anyone that can ask like they used to, because back when the city was hustling and bustling, it was easier to make enough money or ask for enough money to feed yourself for one day. But now it's becoming a situation where they have to think about feeding themselves for like 3 days, 4 days. And some of these people are supporting whole families on the street. And so us in our privileged positions, if you are sitting on this video watching us talk about food security, let me tell you something, you are privileged. And so you have the capacity to make a meal for someone. You don't even have to go out of your way and give money. It's simple as taking half of your loaf at home, putting some food together, like some sandwiches or something, and giving it to someone. You know what I mean? How much food do we throw away in our household? Or do we give to the dog? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's so true.
I so agree. And I think I'd actually push more on the food aspect. I really think food goes a long way, because sometimes it's hard to say, the reality of our economy is you now need to start giving people, $2 because even $1 doesn't really buy it.
It doesn't.
But for me to pull out $1, it's kind of heavy. But if it's part of what I have, my food, it's so much easier for me to share a plate than to pull out bucks. And you also don't want to tempt, because it leads to a lot more. So
drugs.
Yeah. So if you know that there's 10 kids that chill at this corner, 4 loaves of bread. Whip it out.
Right. Like it's as simple as every day that you leave the house, make a meal. And if you find someone on the street to give that person. Oh, excuse me.
Are you okay? That's so true. That's so true. I think for me, I agree with everything that you both said. And I think that, this skill is something that I'm so passionate about. I feel collaborating on certain things, and like, who said you can't do collaborative farming, guys? You can. And it can even just be like, back in the day, like people were so are you okay, Jordan?
I'm so dead.
Are you okay?
I'm good. Anyway, please continue.
Skills, collaborative farming. If we have a thing where we're like, okay, at our house we're gonna be doing rape, at your house you can do carrots, at the next house you do whatever, and we're gonna share with each other because we don't have big yards, but we're gonna share it and give each other tips and whatever, like something like that, that could really go far. And also another thing I wanted to say is, when you're out there buying your bottles to drink because you want to have a good time on the weekend, guys, buy one less bottle and donate that money to one of these initiatives, because these guys are doing such work. And a lot of them, it's literally out of the kindness of their hearts. I'm pretty sure that Chitungwi's a lady. It was just like out of the kindness of her heart. And like, she's obviously now she's maybe getting a couple of donations, but it's not easy. You can never feed everyone. You can never finish the job. When you're doing charity work, the job never ends, because you'll always have cases that need, charity work.
Oh, this lady, she serves 3 meals a day.
That's hectic. That's hectic.
It doesn't rest, hey? She's amazing. She's phenomenal.
Amazing.
I'm really gonna just drop.
So we're gonna put.
Here's her name. This is her name.
Somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know.
I think this is a perfect place to round up, because I know we can go over this and have a 7-hour-long episode, and our editors will kill us. So, but I think this was a really great place to kind of end off the episode. Jordan, my love.
It's been good, nah?
It has.
It's been good. Guys, is this not the end of the season?
Oh my gosh! Really? This is the end of season 1, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the end of season 1 of Her Hour. It's been a good run, guys.
No.
It's been good.
It's
been good. I am
Shut up to everyone who's been watching our episode.
Right. Shout out Hourangers for hanging with us from day one. And all your support, all your likes, all your subscribes, you know.
Yes. Oh my
We're
God.
so grateful for you. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for her hour and all the things that you guys have made possible for us. It's just, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be able to work with you, Vera, and to be able to just create this content alongside such amazing people, such amazing guests like Charlie, guys. Like, you know what? I don't think this should be the last episode. This is not the last episode, right? Are we not supposed to do like a recap episode?
We do have a recap episode that's coming out next week on Thursday.
Right.
So, guys, please make sure that you check out that episode. Again, thank you so much, Jordan. You've just been phenomenal. We've gone through so much. And guys, if you didn't know, Jordan and I literally became friends through her hour. So that's how powerful.
Right. Literally, like we met each other literally in like planning for her hour, and then the next week we were like filming. So her hour has been bringing people together since day one. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah.
Please write in the comment section what you want for season 2, like any new features you would like. We've got some surprises lined up for season 2, guys, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. But like, write in the comment section, stay interacted on our social media handles, which are all appearing.
And Charlie's.
Charlie's is also appearing.
And also, if you guys have any initiatives that you think people would need or could benefit from, then please also comment them in the comment section. That would be really helpful.
Yeah, great. So yes, we will now say goodbye until next week. Bye now.
Everybody else might sing Daisy. You stay fire and amazing. The 36-inch, you still wavy. The best thing in all the world.